Get the boat gassed up, saunter down to the dock. Put the Yeti in the back and she's ready to rock. It's a May River thing. It's a May River thing. It's a May River thing. Got the whole family down here. It's a May River thing.
Hey, it's Tim Wood with the latest edition of Lowcountry Chronicle. So thrilled to be joined today. I mean, you've seen their pop up markets all over the area. Katie Silva is the founder and the brains behind the team at Lowcountry Made. Katie, it's great to meet you and to speak with you.
Thank you,
Just
Tim.
love what you guys have been able to put together so far.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So, I guess the place to start is how this started and what brought on the idea behind Low Country Made.
Yeah, for sure. So, my background is in marketing, and I had a job as an account manager beforehand. And then at the beginning of the pandemic, as soon as the world shut down, my hours were, drastically reduced to, pretty much nothing, like many people. And many of my clients, or at least the people who wanted services initially, were all these small business owners. So, as an entrepreneurial spirit myself, I knew that I wanted to work with the small business community and figure out how to use my strengths to help them. So I had a few friends that I was just bouncing ideas off of who are also small business owners. And it was just kind of sitting there for me. And that was to provide them with a platform during this time to continue to sell. So maybe their main job was put on hold and they were sent home, and they all have these hobbies or these passions or these side hustles that they were starting to rely on. And we came up with a way to allow them to continue to sell and make money for their families during COVID.
It's amazing, and I mean the need for us to be outside, especially during COVID.
Yep.
I mean, I know that part of this started um, as a brick and mortar thing. Is that correct?
No, so the vision was to provide the platform as well as like additional promotional services that
Sure.
was obtainable for the small business owner. And then at the end of the year, we were just offered a spot. And, at that point in my business, I just said yes to everything. And I was like, well, although I didn't foresee a brick and mortar, let's say yes and let's promote these people even more. So we gave it a shot. Ultimately, retail wasn't where I wanted to be. I wanted to place brands with retailers. So we had a lovely time with the Juice Hive, which is where we were. And ultimately, it wasn't the direction the business was needed to go, and where foresaw and
but
the vision
but
I
I
wanted
mean
to
the
take.
the market's just exploded, and I mean that's really the niche that I mean you guys have really hit your stride with the pop ups.
Yeah.
They're
So
not quite they're not quite so pop up anymore. You've got some regularity to where you are.
yeah, creating the brand behind different locations, I think, gave the consistency to makers that they needed to sell consistently, to be able to schedule out their year. So instead of waiting for Mayfest or waiting for these larger festivals, which do very well and they should continue doing, it just provided them, a full calendar. So it was an alternative to owning a brick and mortar store, that they could rely on that opportunity to sell every month for the year. So one of the reasons I think these are so popular is because rent is so high, and
Oh yeah.
it's this area is just difficult for the entrepreneur to launch into a brick and mortar immediately. So it's a creative solution to gaining that momentum to get to that point where you're ready to scale into a brick and mortar.
We see it every day, and I run in what's happening in Bluffton. I mean, it's I'm looking for commercial space. I'm begging you. I need commercial space. I want to grow,
Hmm.
but you guys have given them that space without the overhead.
Yeah, that was the goal, and to come up with, just the branding that makes the community want to keep coming out. So each location is a bit different venue, has something different to offer. So our Port Royal one's the newest, and that community has just welcomed us with open arms, and it's amazing because Port Royal is booming, and there's so much potential for these small businesses to look at locations for brick and mortar, and it's just a bit different than Bluffton. And they can look outside of Bluffton, and it's cool to bring these vendors that way and show them new areas.
I've got to imagine as you've forged these relationships with Burnt Church Distillery and over at Buckwalter Place and all the different areas that you've been, that you have communities now starting. The more this becomes a known entity and a thing, you've probably, I would imagine, you got folks kind of banging down the door like, "Hey, when can we get one?"
Yeah, we have a lot of local businesses reach out for pop-ups, which is awesome. So it's got to be the right fit and the right location. We want to make sure we're giving a good crowd to the vendors. But on the other hand, we come with a event, packaged nicely for these host businesses. So it's mutually beneficial for them too. And it's just exciting to have pop-ups in different locations and a different customer base. So yeah, it's it's always an experience, I guess, wherever we are.
It's a party. It really is, and
Yep,
and
supposed to be.
it feels like, it feels like family. Honestly, it's. I'm not gonna say it's like a traveling carnival, but I mean it really is. It's like it's this smorgasbord of creativity and entrepreneurship, and it's just
Yeah,
like we were talking before we got on here, and it's, I mean, you've got that entrepreneurial spirit. I've got that entrepreneurial spirit. It's like, and you've got a lot of friends who are small business owners. I tend to gravitate towards small business owners because
hmm,
that creative spark is intoxicating.
I agree. And looking for opportunities for them is is really fun, and trying to come up with. I guess what I bring to the table is creative problem solving. So all these different problems that small businesses face, I enjoy trying to solve them. So one is trying to get advertising in print media and things like that is just an incredible challenge for small businesses.
Oh
So
yeah.
just trying to create the brand of Low Country Made where it's effective, where when we post on Instagram, we can reach a lot of people. Facebook, just doing all these things that's obtainable, um, to try to combat, you know, rising costs everywhere else.
Part of what why I wanted to have you on is because I just like our goals and our raison d'etre seems to really be on the same page. And I mean, it's listen, I grew up in print. I cut my teeth in newspapers, and I've done every kind of medium, and like you said, I mean, listen, I love print. I love magazines. It's cost prohibitive, and
Hmm.
you can't always justify and quantify the cost behind it. And you deliver, whether it's social media or just the various promotional avenues that you deliver uh,
Thank you.
excitement to you can, it's quantifiable by the folks that kind of come through the turnstiles at the metaphorical turnstiles at the markets. Um, Tell me about the team that you've kind of assembled. Or not kind of. You've got a pretty impressive group of women that are bringing this all to bear.
Yeah, definitely. So right away, I knew for this to be successful, I needed Heather Bragg. She owns Bragg Media, and she she's just incredibly intuitive to the small business owner's plight, and she has awesome cost-effective solutions for small businesses. So she helped me get the platform going with the website, with press releases. And I was like, if I do any kind of advertising, it needs to be earned media. So she does all the press releases. I make the schedule. I tell her, I create the branding, and she delivers with some well-written press releases and her connections in local media to try to get those stories covered. And she's been a great resource for the as opposed to paying for advertising space. So
She's
I
been around
recommend
the
that to
media scene
anybody.
forever. I mean, she's been around
Yeah.
the media scene forever. She was at the packet, and I mean, she knows the market inside out in terms of how to
Mm-hmm.
how to connect. And I think that's I, that's what uh, so many small businesses struggle with, is that
Mm-hmm.
connection and knowing. It's like this catch 22. Like, I know I need to market, I know I need to promote myself, but I don't have any money to do it. I don't like,
Mm-hmm.
so like I need money, but I'm not gonna make any money unless unless people know I'm
Unless people
here.
find me. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, you guys have kind of cut out a lot of those middlemen in
I
making the
like doing that.
connections.
Yeah, so she's been just incredibly valuable to the growth, and so I'm very thankful for her. And she's the first person I paid, was because I was like, if this is going to be successful, this is who I need. And then after that, we have Shannon Gonzalez. She was one of my business owner friends who I started bouncing ideas off of, and just to get you know where the small business owner is coming from and where she wants to go, and just some of her challenges, and then trying to come up with solutions that I can help with. So she's my VP. She's my number two. I bounce all my ideas off of her. She's a great sounding board, and then she's also a liaison in Beaufort. So she pitched the first meeting to the town of Port Royal on behalf of Lowcountry Made, of what the markets could do for the town, and the benefit of bringing all those people in and small businesses could do for the community. So um, she's an incredible resource, and she also does business coaching. So we're super excited to have her. I'm excited to have we, as in all of us. I'm excited to have her on the team because she just is a great resource. She's been in it as a small business owner, and her background is banking. So she just has a way of helping small business owners just very clearly lay out what they need to do to get legal, to qualify for markets. Because we do have certain criteria to get into our markets that not everyone requires. So they may not be used to seeing it, and they may have just brought their vision to life, and they don't have their retail license or local business license. So Shannon is a great resource where I direct people to go to so that they qualify for our markets.
In terms of where do you see this going? I mean, the markets. One thing that I see when I go out is, and when you talk to all the different makers that are involved in Low Country Made, is that this is, yes, it's the pop up markets are great, but this is more of a movement. This is like you've really empowered a lot of folks here, and there seems to be more to this than just the markets.
Yeah, so I mean, and other markets have come up too in its place, because I think people are seeing that shoppers and consumers, they kind of crave that experience. So I think that's one of the reasons it's been so successful. And they're also craving community. So I knew when I was forming this that I wanted to be involved in the community. And a lot of us are transplants. We're not from Bluffton, so
Mm-hmm.
we're creating this movement where the community is involved. We get to support this small business community. We get to claim them as ours. Their successes are our successes. So I think people just want to be a part of that, and that's why it's so popular.
I mean, it's one thing to buy something on a website that and it's from a local, it's a local product, and that gives you some pride. But to actually meet the makers and meet the folks
Hmm.
behind these ideas, and like you said, uh, just understand. You have conversations. You understand where they came from and where how
Hmm.
what you have in common, and it becomes more than just a transaction at that point.
Exactly. And then they have, when they meet these people and get this network, they have a guy for that, or, somebody for that. So say I need something altered. Well, I just met a seamstress. Now I have a guy for that. And it's just building your network of creative friends and, people that you meet and get to, reach out to them before you outsource it to Amazon or something like that. So I think that's cool. I always try to work with one of my small businesses before I, look bigger, look outside.
I mean, do you see this as kind of an incubator at this point? Um,
Yes, definitely. That's my hope. I want to be a culture of innovation for small businesses in this area to grow. And it depends on what their ultimate vision is for their business. But from what I've seen the last 2 years, there's two types that are okay with the level where they're at, and they're just popping up at the markets, and we love them and want to keep them. And then we have the other group who is using it to scale. So they start by bringing their product to market, great foothold, they get local recognition, they get to use the markets to talk to their end consumer, gain that, feedback right away, because you don't get that with online sales. They get to network with other businesses. Ultimately, they use this for a year, 2 years to scale their businesses. And then after that, markets are a great option to riddle into your overall business strategy. But as far as every week at that point, probably not. So I think we see like a nice turnover every year of new businesses that, some have just gone on and up, and we love them and support them. And then we have this new wave of innovation coming in. So it's always new, but you will see that rotation, because everybody has, different visions for where they want to be. And we have seen a handful move on to have brick and mortars. So Bluffton Candles moved on, Toot Sweet Macaroons is another one that's moved on, Meg's Sweet Treats. So it's just so cool to see that scaling and growth happen.
it's got to be weird to be at that point now where you're seeing the chicks leave the nest, and you're old enough at this point to kind of see to have seen the first graduating class.
Mm-hmm. Oops, sorry. My
No
son
problem.
just came in the house. um, yeah, no, it's very rewarding, and it's it's cool to see that, because then I get to see what works, what's the most efficient way to do that, so I can recommend that and advise other businesses that ask. So
So
it's
you,
just creating a formula.
absolutely. So you mentioned your son. I- You, I mean, you are kind of. I'm not gonna say you're the mascot, but I mean, like you, your story. 4 kids, 6 and under, and you pivoted. You pivoted during the pandemic. Um, your story has got to be inspiring to all these folks right along. I'll tell you, just uh, hearing about you from others is inspiring. So actually getting to speak to you, it's really a pleasure. But I mean,
Oh,
how
thank
are
you.
you how are you able to juggle all this, to juggle family and still like just feed this entrepreneurial um, thirst?
Thirst, yeah, it is a thirst, because when, as you know, as an entrepreneur, just something inside of you that you just like have to get out and share. So I had all these ideas before I was 30, and then when I turned 30, I was like, you know what, the pandemic kind of gave me the boost, but I'm like, I'm gonna do it. Like, let's just be brave and bring these ideas out there and tell people my vision and see what happens. As far as time management goes, something that's always a work in progress. And you'll, like I told you before we started, all of my stuff is pushed to the side out of frame. So something has to give. And what has given personally is my house. And it's a mess, but I'm with my kids, which is where I want to be. And when I do markets, I can bring them with me and they get to see what I do and they get to see all these people and have an idea for what a small business is. So it's something I can bring my family in on. It was something I could use my talents from home. So ultimately, I created the business out of my strengths and constraints and my time. And so from there, this year specifically has been a growth I've experienced a lot of growth. And so because of that, I've had to pivot from where I started, which was my goal in the beginning was just to have me and, Heather. And now this year, it's like in order to continue serving the small business community, I needed to grow and I need to have more market coordinators to relieve this off of me so I can, continue facilitating and working on the business right, not necessarily like in the nitty gritty all the time. Otherwise, I would have no personal freedom.
Not having the business
with my
work
family.
right? Not
Yeah.
like that's kind of that tough spot where you like, okay,
Mhm.
I I got over this whatever was holding me back to make this jump. Now I've made it, and so now how do I make that next step and still sleep? Still
Yeah.
find some time to sleep.
And I have to remember like what the goal was, and that was to have that personal freedom. And I think with any small business owner, you get to that stage and hopefully you realize it sooner than later. And then you start to build that process and your team. Sorry, I keep slouching out of frame.
Yeah, I was gonna say I keep
Yeah, sorry, I'm
losing you a
leaning
little
on
bit out
my
of frame.
table. I'm leaning on my table.
We had this
So
we had
hopefully
this
you realize it
commercial.
sooner than later.
We had this commercial in growing up in Maine. There was this restaurant called DeMillo's, and they were famous for their commercials where the woman was like this, and it was like it's it always played during half times of games. It was like it's halftime at DeMillo's. come see us, and so it always when I have to get folks back in the frame, it always reminds me of that commercial.
Yeah, I'm trying to like be relaxed, but too relaxed.
Right? It's part of our Zoom education, right? For framing ourselves in the frame.
And I don't want to stare at myself because that's like that's like I'm just trying to look at you. So yeah, I didn't notice.
Yeah, trust me, I have to catch myself all the time because I'll like I get so into it. I'm like, oh, that I look up and I'm like, oh, gotta get on frame.
Looking weird.
Yeah. So, what do you, without giving away too much of the playbook? I mean, what do you see? What do you see next for Lowcountry, Maine?
So I see consistency with our really good locations, and I see continuing to provide pop-ups for host locations because I want to continue that that service of just bringing them an event, but then getting my vendors in front of new shoppers, and it's a new experience for the community. So keeping a handful of that too. But ultimately, I want to provide resources for small businesses. So it's not we're going to be releasing some coaching for entrepreneurs and small businesses, and I'm really excited about that because I just, with my marketing background and my vendors know that too, I get a lot of questions about how to help with certain challenges, and my mindset's always been, how can I help everybody? Because I don't have time to help everybody individually. So what's effective and what's obtainable? Because one-on-one is just a lot of times out of budget for people. So we'll be having some business coaching and some additional resources to help people scale and grow out of this grind phase, and also starting a business blog for the solopreneur looking to grow.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see what's next. Everybody always wants to know what's next, and like the trick is Like you have one pizza shop, and all of a sudden that's thriving. So you're like, I got to open four. Well,
Yeah.
and I was, I've been a part of a bunch of startups, and um, you know, one of the most successful ones was the sports website that I was in on the ground floor on, called Bleacher Report, and um, it exploded, and we went from nobody knowing who we were to having 60 million page views a month, and so the natural feeling is, oh, well, let's make a Bleacher Report for entertainment, and a Bleacher Report for tech, and a Bleacher Report for health, and but
Hmm.
sometimes you just got to get that core product just absolutely locked down, right?
Yeah.
Before jumping too quick.
Hmm. Yeah. And markets, are our core product, but essentially the mission is to provide this platform for small businesses and entrepreneurs. So, my focus is them, and how best to do that. So, markets are just an incredibly cost effective way to get feedback immediately, to start making money. So to keep those fun for everyone to attend and profitable for my makers that are there, that's key. And then, I want to use my expertise and this team that I've built, and I want to see these people wildly successful. So, I don't want to, like, if they don't want to be here after, a year, they want to be bigger than that. I want to see them reach that goal, and continue moving upward with their business, because although we're called small businesses, like, it takes an insane amount of grit and time and energy to have that small business. So even though it's a small business, it's not small ideas.
I
And
hate
so
the
I just
name.
want,
Yeah, I
I
hate
hate
the
the name
name
too.
because no
I hate
business
it.
is
Yeah.
small. It's an incredible time commitment, and it's
Mhm.
another kid at the dinner table, essentially.
Yeah,
It's always there.
it's such risk that you take on, and I think according to SBA, small business is technically considered under 25 million, so we can all feel better about
Yeah.
that. So it's a wide gap. So ultimately, like, I think solopreneur, you first start, you're your only person that you have to manage, and then you grow from there.
I like
So
that a
it's
hell of a lot. I like that solopreneur.
yeah.
I like that much better. um, I really appreciate the time.
Thank you.
And I hear the kids and the
That was the
dogs getting a
dog.
little
Yeah.
restless. Just a couple more questions.
Yeah.
First of all, like, I know this is tricky, especially having four kids already. But I mean, and because all these businesses are your babies, is there
Yeah.
any, like, one that has just stood out above the rest as kind of like the example that you always kind of point to tell folks, like, you can do this?
Yeah. I think Bluffton Candles, because what helps you scale is wholesaling, and they've just really, I would say they look effortless, because I don't want to say effortless because they put so much effort into it, but they just very gracefully have made those connections, and were it's scary to bring your product to a business and be like, do you like it, like, you want to sell it, and they do it, and they did it from the beginning. So now they have quite a good representation all over the low country, and now they have a brick and mortar store too, and they still remain that small brand feel, but they're able to deliver. So I think they're the success story that I think people get inspired by.
And then my final question would be, just, and we'll put a graphic up on the screen, but what's the schedule in terms of where people can see you guys?
So we are twice a month at Buckwalter Place Park, right, kind of kitty corner to Southern Barrel, and
Hmm.
that's first and third Saturdays of every month through December. And we are second and fourth Saturdays in Port Royal. So the second Saturday, though, doesn't start till June. So for now, we're just fourth, and then in June we'll pick up that second one.
Okay.
And then Burnt Church Distillery is first Thursdays, and that's from 5 to 8 p.m. So it's supposed to
The
be a
night
little night
bazaar's really worked
shopping.
out, huh?
Yeah, well, that location's so fun.
Oh
And
yeah.
yeah, it's just the courtyard. They already have the lights. And so we get that after work crowd getting a cocktail. And it's just somewhere different and super locally centric to bring your out of town guests. So yeah, I'm hoping that one continues to grow and gain awareness. So that's what I'm working on.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I really appreciate, and it's such a pleasure to speak with you finally, and
You
just to
too.
kind of meet the brains behind this magic. Speaking of like the effortless with knowing that there's a lot of effort, but you guys make this look effortless. Whether it's seeing the markets in person, the professionalism behind it, while still being very cozy and homey and family. And then also the social media and the videos are fantastic. Is that Heather as well?
No, I'm social media, but this year I got 3 professional videos taken. So I do all the normal videos and all of that, and all I can say to that is consistency with your presets. So anybody can do it as long as they know rule of thirds, and then use the same preset. So I invested in I have Adobe Lightroom and I use the same ones every single time. But then this year, to be creative with my advertising budget, I hired Hardin Creative to make 3 videos, one for each market location, and I just send them everywhere. So Trevor with Hardin Creative is
I had
just
a feeling it was
amazing.
Trevor.
Yeah,
I didn't know for certain, but it just looks like Trevor. So
it's
I'm
like it
sorry to cut in.
immediately elevates your brand, and it's something that you're proud to display all year long. So that's why I did that. And then ultimately, I have sponsors. So I wanted my sponsors to feel taken care of and promoted. So I wanted this professional video to display their logo and their participation.
So if you want to be a sponsor, if you want to be a vendor at upcoming markets, it's all on the website, right?
Yes. So sponsors, I don't put out like a call for sponsors. I usually seek them out personally, and I do that in January. So if you want to be a sponsor for a location, then you need to reach out early, because those are determined in January. But then applications for vendors are open all year long, because at this point, you might be waitlisted, especially Burnt Church, because that one is full. But I like to keep them open because you never know what could happen, and I want people to get on that wait list and in the queue. But there's still availability, but not much at Port Royal, and then there is availability at Buckwalter as well.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I heard Hazel, right?
yeah, yeah.
I heard is
She
Hazel around?
she
Can we
is. Yeah.
can we see her?
Oh, but then I'd have to walk you through my messy living room.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay.
She gave up trying to go outside, and she's laying in the corner behind a bunch of baby toys. So
I
I
gotta
can't show
imagine
you.
I gotta imagine there's some photos on social. I'll grab one and put that up in
Yeah,
post.
well, since I had babies, so she was my first baby, right? Your fur
Yeah,
baby. And then
the
since
trader. Yeah.
every baby I've had, she's just gone down the totem pole, poor thing. So yeah, she's probably not on any current pictures on social media,
Well,
but she does photo mom.
let her know she got the shout out. Let her know we
Yep,
got
yep.
Hazel love. Yeah. Katie, thank you so much. And
Thank
listen,
you.
please let Heather. I was not trying to do an end around. I know she handles the media inquiries, but I saw you on Messenger, and I was like, I want
No,
to.
it's good,
I'll
and
reach
I
out.
still thank
We'll
her for the
see.
connection. She puts it out there, so I appreciate the opportunity. It was really cool talking with you.
Same here. Uh, that's Katie Silva, the founder and brains behind Lowcountry Made. Get out there and support the makers, support the local small business economy. You're gonna find some amazing deals and just some amazing products. Um, Again, thank you so much for your time, Katie.
Thank you.
Her down to the dock. put the Yeti